All right, hey, what's up? It's Mr. G. You're at Mr. G's workshop, and we're doing a live EV Hangout. We got a big build going on. So we got the Kei Truck, and we're trying to get this done like ASAP, like right now. Just to give you an overview of the shop, we're getting ready for an EV conversion class this weekend. So we got Tesla cells on the bench here, and we got a whole Hyper 9 setup right here. I'll introduce you to all the peeps in the house. Here's our Hyper 9. It's just going to sit on the bench for now, but we did a lot of custom work. So there's also a custom bracketry right here, and that's going to go on the motor. What we're going to do is, this is the adapter plate, believe it or not. And this is actually, for the thickness, we put 2, and then we used tab and slot to go together.
Wait. So that's not a V8 Hummer header. That's for an EV.
Yeah. So this is like actually I have the CAD. I'm gonna pull that up right now.
That looks like a bunch of piston holes. Like how does that have related to EV?
It's pretty crazy.
Yep. Let me just pull it up right on the computer so you guys can see it. I have that. Basically what it is that we used send cut send to make a flat plate that's more manageable when it comes to designing this stuff. Let me just see here. Okay, here we go.
Because yeah, most of the plates I've seen, they kind of just look like a modified ring, but this thing is like literally, it looks like a Connect 4 game or something. Like,
yeah, it looks like Swiss cheese, and I know it's ironic. It's funny that it has actual like yellow on it, which is ridiculous. Carter's definitely like, what the hell am I looking at? But it was the easiest way to get something done fast. Everything that's important is there. So like, you know, if I slice this guy into a cross section, you'll be able to see what's going on. If you look here, and we'll do a side view. The important part is to register on the motor this ring right here that I got in orange there. That has to register in 4 inches. And then you need a coupler. And the coupler, we did something weird. We chopped it off. Dave, you got the crankshaft over there? Oh, I don't know where he went. Anyway, we took a crankshaft and we sliced it off. And then we actually took the end of the crankshaft, which is really what connects to your flywheel. And then we bored it and we broached it. Oh, perfect. Yeah, this is the 3D model of it right here. That's what it would look like. And then the foam is because we're just modeling it. You got the actual crankshaft over there so we can show them the other side?
The actual crankshaft is on the motor.
No, out of the motor because we took it out. Anyway, you get the idea. So then we also have to register these bolts. So the bolt holes for the motor have to go in there, this here. And then, oh, here we go. This is it. So this is the headless crankshaft.
This was on this.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. And it's a cheat code. You can do it. So then the next thing we did was I put in, I had to get the we switch to this so you can see it. So this is the motor in the background there, and I'll turn off the plate for a sec. Let's turn off this one too. Okay. So you have, this is the engine, and this is where all the information came from. So if you look at the bolt hole pattern, you can do this. So this was kind of crazy. Like, just imagine this is the weapon of choice, is your caliper. Just get one of these, like a real long one, and you literally go from bolt to bolt, and then you minus the radiuses. Now you have center to center. So it's pretty crazy. It's super tedious. It's not the best way to do it, but it is a thing. I didn't take it from the photo. Obviously, that's like just sort of a reference, but you can see that it lines up. Important things to remember is to get your registration. So you have to get you have to get your pins, the pin locators. Basically, you have to pretend like you're the backside of an engine. You have to trick everybody to thinking that, it's including the transmission. Okay.
So why is yours so wide compared to like the diameter of what you're talking about?
Oh, we had to reach out a little bit. It's not that actually far from the transmission. Transmission is kind of on its side. The motor's on its side, so they can fit it in this small package over here. And then we went from there out to our motor mounts. So we actually have the motor mounts in there. I do have some photos, but I could grab the motor.
Yeah, it's quite a unique plate we're ending up with. Well, it looks like plates almost because we have two layers going on there. Have you seen anything like that, Brandon, in any of your?
No, I'm also curious why there's all those extra holes.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Are you just
extra
trying
holes?
to save weight? Are you just trying to save weight? Or is
Yeah.
that for cables?
So when I was done with the design, my friend looked at it and he's like, that thing's 1/4-inch plate. You want to like lighten it up? And it's not, beautiful. It just is. Like these holes are just all clearanced away. That's the only thing. Like there's no integrity here. We just like cut holes in it.
Now, was that to save weight for shipping? Not because the EV doesn't need to
Everything, shipping and installation. I mean, 1/4-inch plate is like legit, and there's two of them. So just imagine 2 1/4-inch plates. But I will tell you, the cool thing that everybody should take a look at is when you're doing this stuff, if you don't want to struggle with with how it goes together, just use something called tab and slot. I stole this from, I don't know if this is Fireball Tools or if this is weld.com or tabandslot.com or whatever it is. But everything locks together and you can see how it kind of goes together, which is kind of cool. So then when I went to go do this, I then went and I used the tab and slot method. And it just comes out. So it just locks together. Like basically all you got to do is like weld right here. And it really does work out. And you put 5,000s right here. See this little bit of clearance right there? And then you're good. Yeah, pretty cool.
So your next one's gonna be billet, right?
Yeah. If you got time, we threw this. This is like rush, and I also have a day job, so like this is kind of like we just kind of made it happen. But it's coming together. As long as you can plan well with like CAD software. I use Onshape. I really like it. My students use it too, and so far it's working out pretty good.
So after all of this, what's your end goal for tonight?
Okay. The end goal is to have a repeatable conversion. So this is not a car that I feel like I need to get groceries with. This is the repeatable conversion. And it does go on the road. I didn't register insurance yet, but it's a New Jersey title. And it's going to have like Haggerty insurance probably. And it's got 4-wheel drive and it turns heads. And then we do have a very silly finishing capstone for this, which is we're going to put a larger than life fake drill battery in the back to kind of capture the moment there. Let me see if I'll get the picture for you.
Wow. Yeah, he's gonna burn the midnight oil this week.
Let me kill this right here. So this is going to be the final design.
Now, is anything going to be in that, or is that just for show?
That is going to be foam. Nothing. It'll have air. But this entire setup that you see here, the 5-pack of Tesla cells, the whole Hyper 9 setup and all that stuff. That's all going to be back there. So we're going to slide the drill battery back. Oh wait, you can see in and you can slide it forward. And we're going to take it to like Christmas parade, car shows and stuff like this. And then it's really just to be a repeatable conversion. So everything's on a bench. You can take the bench off, take it apart, put it back together, put the bench back on. You want to change the batteries? They're right there. Nothing to hide, nothing, And Switch Lab has a fantastic platform that is similar. Everything's out in the open. And I really do think Switch Lab's doing a fantastic job. It's pretty obvious. If you're a high school and you or a college and you're like, oh, I need a conversion, but doing a custom car. See, what people don't realize is there's the EV side, but then there's a EV, right? So there's E, right? And then there's the vehicle side. That's a whole other animal, and if you don't have the V, how are you going to do the E? So those are two different things. I always tell people, if you don't have the mechanic side, learn how to fix bicycles, learn how to fix lawnmowers, and then you do need some welding skill as well, and some CAD work and some metal fab. So it's a multi-skilled event. EVs are a great platform. So is gas vehicles, but we know that to prepare for the next generation, they really should be learning this stuff and start thinking in watts. They should be thinking in Brandon watts and not miles per gallon. And horsepower is a marketing joke that we all know about. So.
Well, yeah, we talked about that a lot at SEMA. The whole how horsepower came out.
Yeah, totally. So cool stuff. So anyway, that's the overview here, and I got to get to metal fab.
How long is your workshop?
What's that?
How long is your workshop going to be?
This is going to be a Friday night. It's 3 days. Friday night, really just to meet everybody and go over the basics. Voltmeter, continuity test, amp meter. Some people don't know, to count amps, you need to use amps. You can't count them unless you use them. You got to put them to work. Volts is like a picture of a person, and amps is like making them run a mile. Now we know. You put a clock on. Let's see how they actually, or have them lift something. So we find out the truth. So then Saturday we're gonna work on the bench, get everything working, and then Sunday put it in the vehicle. We might do it. I am kind of making some changes on the fly. So it might be that we run the vehicle, take it all apart, put it back together by the end of Sunday, and then hopefully barbecue, or just across the street for Korean chicken barbecue. It's really good. It's like,
So where are you wanting this project to be done before your workshop starts?
I'm hoping we want to run it hopefully late night tonight or maybe tomorrow before people show up. If not, we're going to do the best we can. We'll have to finish it up while they're here. It was thrown together, to be honest, juggling a lot of stuff. And then the adapter plate and the coupler took longer than I thought. And, if you can buy your adapter plate, buy it. Okay. Any type of design work, this is where the R&D takes a long time, and you need a team of people.
Once you have this figured out, you mentioned that this is all just like basically going on the bed, right? What if you had all of that packaged inside that drill bit battery?
Drill battery. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So you just slide in the module of the EV conversion onto the bed. Dude,
throw it in the back of the bed of the truck. Yeah, you imagine you put it in a crate, and when they uncrate it, it's a big drill battery. And the instructions are install battery. That's it.
Install
battery. No, but if the adapter plate and coupler are done, you send an adapter plate, you send a coupler, you tell them to do an engine swap, and then you tell them throw this in the back of your bed and here's your lockdown or strap it down, and you're done. That's a possibility, especially with a vehicle that's 25 years old because there's no OBD2. It's a classic vehicle, you know. There's no power brakes. You don't have to worry about a brake booster. There's no power steering. You don't have to worry about that. There's no accessories. There's no air conditioning. There's nothing. It's literally a power tool. Yeah.
Because
So there you go.
Yeah,
Now,
it's simple.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I will say these Kei trucks, they're cute. But I wouldn't drive them too fast on the highway because your feet are the bumper. So, you know, just be careful out there. Yeah. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Todd?
Oh,
Okay. So that's basically it. Yeah. And if you guys want to do an update and give us an overview, but I got to get back to work.
well, I was thinking a good jumping off point would be, you know, Ron's about to do his first, his first EV workshop with his Kei truck. It's not his first EV workshop, but so he kind of went over what his plan is. Maybe Brandon, maybe you could go over what it's like to take a Switch Lab EV workshop, and then we can kind of go from there.
Cool.
Yeah. So at SEMA, you guys, Talak and Ron were there, so they know where Switch is launching conversion workshops coming spring 2025. We're actually not using the Switch Lab EV for this one. We're actually going to do kind of what Ron's doing, a little bit different, a little bit more intensive, but repeatable conversions on a fun car. The goal is 3 days of online curriculum, just to get people up the learning curve to a point where everyone walks in with the same level of knowledge. So you can test out of it. We just want to make sure people know what a amp meter, voltmeter, what watts, ohms are. We want them to have a base level understanding. And then they show up for like Ron's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they'll do weight distribution theory and actually applying it to the vehicle. I think the plan for 2025 is to convert a 1947 Willys Jeepster. So a very, very cool looking car. It's a convertible. It's light. It's got very simple wiring. But that's going to be the car we're going to convert over and over again. So we'll do battery pack configurations, how to build your own battery pack, how to fabricate motor mounts, placement, fitment, 3D printing techniques, contacting vendors. Pretty much everything Ron has learned, we're going to teach anybody, whether you're an auto shop owner who has clients who need EV conversions and can't get them. Yeah, that's the exact car that's in our shop right now with those exact wheels.
Nice.
It's crazy. We got the motor out of it so far. We're kind of prepping it for the spring when we launch the workshop. Our team's kind of figuring out what kind of fabrication. So we're kind of writing down everything Ron is kind of doing and what we're going to do so that we can repeat it and tell people how we did it so that it doesn't feel like such a challenging or impossible task. A lot of people have cool ideas for conversions or they have a project car. They just have zero clue where to start. And so we're here to get them at a great jumping off point. And with the workshop, we're offering consulting hours too. So you can reach back out to us. I think like 3 to 6 phone calls where we'll talk to you for up to an hour and walk you through troubleshooting or vendors or kits. We'll have multiple different conversion kits and setups in the workshop so people can kind of see what they can do, where they can place the motor. Do they want to do dual motors? Kind of really cover the whole gambit. And we're also doing wiring harnesses. So a requirement for the workshop is you have to show up with your spec sheet and your wire diagram from the vehicle you're building. And at the workshop, you will actually get to build your low voltage and high voltage wiring harness. So you leave with an actual physical thing versus just learning and understanding. And the consulting, you actually leave with some of the things you need to do. I think is really, really cool and no one else is doing it. A lot of people are teaching using trainers, but we're going to get people's hands dirty. They're going to actually have to like do a conversion with us in the workshop.
Now, is this under Switch or the Make Mine Electric?
It's under Make Mine Electric. It's like a sub brand we're launching. It's under conversions right there. We're still building out the website and the schedule. We're kind of trying to see how long it takes R&D to make this repeatable, all the curriculum, the online course. So we're taking it slow, soft launching it. SEMA attendees get 50% off. So if we saw you at SEMA and you want to show up, you get 50% off for a workshop.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Hey, and like we're really excited about it. But it's what Ron is actually doing. We're just gonna do the online component before.
Okay. So you mentioned someone can test out, but how would you recommend someone study up to test out of the first part?
I would probably take like the ASE X Level 1 exam. It's like, or even find a test or a sample test. And then just take it. It teaches you about EV safety, ohms, and basic electrical. And a lot of it you probably could like YouTube or just go on like there's so many places you can learn about the basics of EVs and ohms and electrical work and circuits. But if you don't know where to test out of it, we'll offer the course. A lot of auto instructors or even auto shop owners or technicians already know about these things. He's working with 12 volts. They're just applying the knowledge from the 12 volt system they really know to a higher voltage system. So they're mostly just going to be learning about BMSs, electric motors, main contactors, the things that aren't in a gas vehicle.
Okay. What made you go with a Jeepster? And what's the difference between a Jeepster and a Jeep?
I actually don't know the answer to the second question, but the first reason is the owner loves this car. So Peter Oliver, who owns Switch Vehicles, loves the Willys Jeepster. He's had this as a project car they wanted to convert with lead acid about 10 years ago. He's just been taking care of it, holding on to it. And it kind of worked out well that we're starting our conversion workshop. So we wanted to start with this, and it's a really simple vehicle. I think it is a Jeep. Yeah, they just called it Jeepster. I'm not sure why they...
Yeah, something about a civilian Jeep here.
Yeah, it was like one of the very first Jeeps after World War II that was like more for like civilians, like kind of like how Hummer started selling their cars.
Oh, this is much more tame looking than a
Oh yeah, much more tame, but it's also like 50 years old, 60 years old.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that, and that's what we're developing right now. Our whole team has got their heads in the sand, just grinding away. We got 3 people work on the conversion. We got 2 people work on the curriculum. We're powering ahead to make sure we really deliver a premium educational opportunity for people. Because there's also a lot of schools. We learned that schools have donor cars everywhere, and they don't want to buy a Switch Lab with the chassis. Like they don't need a 3-wheeled vehicle in their auto shop. They already have donor vehicles everywhere. And they kept asking, like, do you guys have conversion kits for education or any training? And we're like, well, there seems to be a gap in the market, and it saves the schools money. They don't have to buy a whole chassis and a whole vehicle. The vehicle's already donated. They just have to convert it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes back to the whole, electric and then the vehicle side. So at some point you gotta, at what point is a donor vehicle not good enough a vehicle to convert?
Yeah, or even like if it like they definitely even would convert a beater. It's just a project for the class. Like teachers just get excited about something new, because most teachers teach the same thing over and over again for years, and so giving them something new and exciting and more bleeding edge tech or like more forward thinking gets them really excited. Plus, once you show them how much torque, like you show them like just like a Tesla Model S Plaid on a track, and they're like, "Oh, that actually does look fun." So like I feel like they're pretty easy to win over now with the technology being so much more advanced.
So I don't know. I'm sorry, I was kind of shuffling screens, but did you already mention what was going to go into the Jeepster? Like, have you picked your motor and batteries yet?
Yeah, so the batteries we're going to use, we're kind of doing what we did with the Ford SEMA truck. We're going to do a custom battery box. We're using the Calb cells. We're going to make, that's probably going to be one of the big challenges, is making that custom battery box rebuildable. And we might do the pre-bake thing where we might do like what Food Network does. Let's put the cake in the oven, and then they pull out the fresh one a second later. We're probably going to be doing a lot of that to save time. Because battery balancing and certain things just take a lot of time, and if there's no learning objectives or theory applied, we're going to try and speed those things up. But we're going with the UQM motor, and I think we're aiming for 300 volts for this one, so it's going to be much higher voltage than the SEMA truck that we had in Las Vegas. But we're going to start there. And see kind of how the market responds. Should we go higher voltage? Should we do a different motor? There's so many options now in the aftermarket. Like 2 years, all of a sudden, everyone has a custom motor. So we're going to kind of help people navigate the industry and market, because there are new things being thrown at us all the time. Hub motors, like it's.
Yeah, your booth was right across the walkway from literally a motor maker.
Yeah, Maverick EV was right there, and they had like 3 or 4 different like motors, and I'm like, so like to like help guide people and like what they're looking for, and understanding what motor they're buying and what the output will be and the voltage and like that kind of stuff is really important, because any salesperson is going to try and sell you the craziest performance, but then you buy that and then you don't buy enough batteries or the right batteries. Now you have a performance motor, but not the right battery pack or the power to even get it moving. So.
Yeah, so for 300 volts, what sort of pack are we looking at to match up with 300 volts?
It's probably gonna be. I'm trying to 3.6. I think they're aiming for 350 volts, so to like 300 nominal is the motor requirement just to get to move. It's gonna be water cooled, which is something that we're gonna learn and kind of see. It seems a lot of enthusiasts avoid water cooling just because it's easier to do air cooled, like Volkswagen Bug or like Ron's truck. But we think it's important, especially for like the performance conversions, just knowing the options for cooling. So the UQM motor, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I think 350 volts is the battery pack. Kilowatt an hour. I don't know yet. They're still kind of determining things. They're doing measurements. They took the gas tank out, the transmission out. They're doing a lot of like Ron said, calipers. A lot of measurements right now. I'm to figure out how much we can fit, what's feasible for a workshop. It's not supposed to be a show vehicle or a SEMA vehicle or anything crazy. It's supposed to be something that's approachable for anyone, whether you're an amateur or you're an experienced gas engine technician.
Right. So does that mean you're going to end up with something like 12 Tesla modules or something, just slightly underneath the 400 volt pack, or a completely different pack?
We're either gonna go with the Tesla, like you just said, or we're gonna go and like build our own with the Calib cells, kind of like we did for the SEMA truck. We're trying to figure out what the market is. We're gonna do a lot of surveys and get a lot of feedback and see like what are people. I'm guessing most people are gonna buy used packs. That's what we're leaning towards. We want to use fresh batteries for educational products for schools. We don't want to resell a school a used battery pack and it catches fire and we're in the news. But the used battery pack for the conversion market is pretty much the standard right now, unless you really want to buy a custom Revolt crazy pack that's pre-built. If you want to skip that kind of process and just buy it plug-in kit, I totally understand, but we want to teach people how to DIY, truly DIY. And in our workshop, they might learn, you know what? I'm just going to go buy a pre-built battery box. This looks like a lot of work I don't want to do. And totally understandable. It is. And it gets dangerous the higher the voltage you go up. So there are some people who are like, I just want the motor that'll plug into a battery pack or a control box battery pack combo. So a lot of those at SEMA.
So for the... Oh, go ahead.
Are you guys thinking that you're going to end up with maybe like half a dozen different kits, maybe a Jeep, a Miata, something like that they can just pick from in a catalog? Is that the idea?
Kind of. We want to do, the plan is to do one vehicle a year, and then probably donate the vehicle to a school to use for education at the end of the year. But yeah, we want to kind of pick a common car that EV conversion enthusiasts are kind of gravitating towards every year. So Willie's Jeepster, we just did because the owner likes it. It's simple, it's easy, it looks cool, it's a classic. But the next following years, like a Volkswagen Bug, really, really popular. So it's kind of feeling out the market, seeing what people want. We don't want to also become a storage facility. We're an EV education manufacturer, so space becomes very limited very quickly if you have like 4 or 5 different conversions you're doing for workshops and selling like a Miata workshop, then you're selling a Volkswagen. We want to keep it the same for a year. Really get the process down, so that maybe next year we do 2 cars, one for the first 6 months, one for the second 6 months, because we know certain people will be interested in certain kind of builds. But we're going to have a lot of the conversion kits, a lot of motors, a lot of different battery types around, kind of like on the test bench. Ron has just a ton of different ones, so people can really see what they're getting their hands into, and kind of get a visual and learn how to work and play and build these full propulsion systems. It is daunting. Like you walk up to like walking up to, if I would have walked up to Ron's board like a year ago, I'd been like, what the heck is this? So we want to make it easy.
And your name is Watt.
Yeah, exactly. I was late to the curve.
So looking at what the system you had at SEMA, that was mainly, it fit in the transmission tunnel, and it was the batteries and the inverter were all up in the engine, the former engine space. How many different vehicles do you think that particular system could fit in? Would like 80% of pickup trucks work for that particular setup that you had?
Oh, I would say like 100% of pickup trucks. Pickup trucks just have so much space with their massive fuel tanks, a massive motor. Yeah, I think most trucks across the board, that's an easy setup. But for like Volkswagens or sports cars or classic cars, you're going to get more creative. They have a lot less front space or motor space. It depends on also if it's a rear motor or like center motor or front motor. Because our team was like, oh, we could do like a rear motor vehicle, and I was like, let's just keep it simple. R&D likes to get excited, but yeah, there's so many different custom builds, like we were talking about earlier. Everything's custom. Everyone's got a different idea. Everyone has their different project car that's their baby. So we just want to do cars that are common and cars that people can really understand the whole process, and keep it as simple. Just bring it down to earth.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, like there's like in the new EV world, trucks are like the last thing coming online right now. But it seems like from what we just talked about in the conversion world, trucks would actually be a lot easier to do than your typical small car, just because there's more commonality of like an engine bay and a transmission tunnel versus like, okay, like a Miata, how much room are you going to have? Or like with a Beetle. What's been the most common car you've had requests for?
It would be Beetles, RX-7s. We actually had a Miata. Someone did talk to us about a Miata. Ford Rangers is another one. The thing, like you're saying, Talik, trucks feel like the obvious, logical, like everyone should be doing those. But they weigh a lot. You need a bigger motor. You need more batteries. The cost just starts jumping. A Volkswagen, you can do a conversion for a very, very reasonable price. Hyper 9s are affordable. So I think that most people choose the smaller cars because less wiring you have to buy. Everything's just closer together. It doesn't have to have as much power in the motor, not as many batteries. Trucks, like you're gonna have to get enough batteries to move it, especially if you get into like heavy duty or larger trucks.
Yeah, and that's kind of the tricky thing. So, but a Ranger, that's kind of classified as a mid-size pickup.
Yeah, like smaller trucks, kind of like what like Ron's doing with his truck. Like the smaller trucks are still pretty dang feasible. It's just not a lot of people are doing them. I think it's because they're not classic. A lot of people, these EV conversions are for classics or for their car they love. So trucks, there aren't a whole lot of classic trucks right now that are light enough or easy enough to convert, because the older trucks are like raw steel, like you're talking about 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 pound trucks. It's going to be really, really tough for your little Hyper 9 to move it. And so you're going to do like dual motors. The fabrication is going to be more like everything. The cost is just going to go up.
Yeah, and as with Johnny's, have you actually seen it in person yet? We're going to get you to try out Johnny's Hilux sometime. So his is kind of interesting because he was able to fit the i3 battery between the ladder rails of the frame. So he actually no space in terms of cabin use or bed use or even frunk use. He actually has a Home Depot, like the rectangular bucket up front where he puts his charge cord and everything. But he could have put more batteries up under the hood with his setup, but he ended up also having to do a ton of fabrication, making the Dion axle and having the small drive unit kind of hanging a little low. So I think for future builds, he's planning to do something a little different. But at least in terms of where the battery went, he was able to. It's like where to go, because if you look at a normal truck, you're not using between the rails of the frame for anything else on a gas vehicle. Typically, maybe that's where the gas tank was. But the fact that an i3 pack with very little modification was able to fit between those rails, and he had a 400-volt pack, which then allowed him to run a small drive unit. So I wonder if maybe the other thing is,
what kind of truck was it?
Well, so it's a Hilux body, but I'm pretty sure it's actually a late 80s, early 90s, or it's a I think it's before it's like a it's like an 80s Toyota truck frame with a 72 Hilux body on it. So that could be a pretty good market for being able to throw, even if you don't do the Didion axle like he did, you still have a place to put the battery between the rails, and you could do a transmission tunnel motor and have a frunk. You have a 30 kilowatt hour, pack, and and there's tons of late 70s, the Hilux was till 781, I think 79, something like that. So whatever the Toyota truck was from like the early 80s up until they came out with the 4Runner, that I think that frame is pretty common.
It's a cool truck.
Yeah. But that was the route he went, but he's a fabrication beast, so he did all that himself. But if you find someone that wants to do a light Toyota pickup, and even if you don't do an i3 pack, you could probably fit a good amount of Tesla modules in that space. Or, I mean, as we were talking about, there's so many different options now. Like if you go to like Big Battery or Jag 35, there are just so many different options for batteries now. It's like it's almost too many at some point, because you have your motor and what voltage you want to run, but then you have like then you have a certain combination of batteries to match that voltage, but then you also need to think about how much capacity you have for range.
Those are the questions where the workshop is aiming to solve. All those, there's so many factors: space, size, voltage, configuration, and people just don't even know where to start. They have an idea, they have a passion, they have the money, they just don't even know where to begin.
Yeah. So things that are coming online to help people. What was one of the things? Were you with us last week on our SEMA recap video? I can't remember.
I probably was not. I was so dead after seeing last week. Was a blur of catching up. It was a long week at SEMA and then coming right back.
So product wise, what stuck out to you in terms of what's going to help with these steps of a conversion process? Like, and I might be intentionally leading towards.
Oh yeah, no, you're leading exactly towards Zack. But yeah,
Zack just turned the call,
loved it. But yeah, Zack's stuff was the most impressive by far for accessibility and kind of pushing it forward for ease of use. Was very impressed with their booth and their offerings.
But
brings
besides
it down.
Formosa EV, what else stood out to you? I don't know how much you were able to get away from your booth to check out what was going on there.
Actually, really, besides Zack's, nothing was too impressive. It was more of the same. Legacy EV did pretty much the same thing they did last year. They're still selling their kits. They're doing their workbench trainings. Hypercraft still selling their kits. There was that cool British company though. Oh, what was the name of?
Right next to you, yeah.
Their cars are cool, but they're
RBW?
just also kits. Yeah.
Say it again, Zach.
RBW.
I think that was them. They were literally right next. I looked at it, but I never went to talk to them. I felt so bad when they were leaving, and the cars looked so good leaving, but it was just like, I don't know. There was just something about it. It just, maybe they were too nice. It felt like it was more like posh.
It felt very posh, like golf course kind of, like very country club kind of like English vibe. But their cars were cool. It's more the same, just a prefab kit, prefab battery box. So you drop it in and it fits into their engine bay for the kind of cars that they want you to convert. Nothing that's kind of pushing it forward or making it easier. I didn't really check prices. I can't tell if I know the price of lithium in general is going down, but for like the kits and the motors and stuff, I didn't see anything that was like, oh, this is really bringing it down to earth and making it more accessible. Yeah. Did you see anything, Zach? Were you there last year compared to this year?
Yeah, I was there last year. Yeah, I think it was about the same in some ways, but also different. I think a lot of the bigger guys like Ampere EV wasn't well, they didn't have their own booth this year. They're kind of with Legacy. But the two that stood out to me was I had never heard of RBW cars, like the posh British guys, and also Elkington Electric. I think what they're working on is super cool. I think they have a really smart business model, to enable a lot of the body shops to get into this stuff by just selling them, the skateboard and everything already prepared, and it's brand new, and I think that could be a really big game changer.
Where was Elkington's booth? I don't think I saw that.
Really? It was in between. It was just north of Fuel to Electric.
Oh, I must have just totally missed them.
Yeah, they had like a dark green Bronco.
Oh yeah, I guess I just walked by quickly. I remember the Bronco. Oh yeah.
So next to it, they had like a skateboard without a body on it. So I know them pretty well actually. Bart Crockett over there. He's like the general manager. I think they got a really neat business model. There's like a lot of body shops in the US that want to do this stuff, and there's not a whole ton of options to do it super nice. And so like I think just giving them a skateboard, I think don't quote me on the prices. It's like I think it's somewhat reasonable price wise. And then the body shop adds another, whatever they charge on top of it, but then it's fully customized to that local customer that the body shop is then serving locally.
Okay, yeah, so I think that is another great way to give people access. Here's your propulsion system, the chassis, the floor, pretty much.
Right.
But whatever you want on top of it, you can make this
Exactly
look like whatever you want.
And that's really the most ideal way to engineer it, is to have the batteries in the floor pan.
Oh yeah, the most economical and the low center of gravity.
Yeah, yeah.
So Zach, since we kind of teed you up a little bit, and it was intentional, but at the same time, not, because as we talked about, you were kind of like, you brought the bacon when it comes to this topic we're talking about. I mean, you got what is this, first best new electric vehicle product here at SEMA. So why don't you, you're showing it there on your screen, but this is in the awards cabinet, and Ron and I were leaving the show one day and we walked by and we're like, holy, there it is.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here, and what does it do, and how does it help the industry?
Sure. So it's a VCU, and I like our whole team was super surprised to get this award this year, our first year of exhibiting. It was just such a pleasant surprise that what we were proposing as this product concept was so well received. And I think part of it is because people have been waiting for a solution to come through like this, and this came to fruition because of our own struggles and challenges. As Brandon was mentioning about the Hyper 9 system. Yeah, it's beginner friendly. It's lower voltage, but it really doesn't belong well in heavier vehicles, and we see a lot of people putting the Hyper 9 into these trucks, these like really heavy vehicles that it just makes the whole experience super underpowered. Meanwhile, there's a whole supply chain of EV parts from Asia, from America, Cascadia being a tier 1 supplier to Ford. All of these motors are physically available but not accessible because it comes down to software. And I think that's partly why the Hyper 9 has been so popular, is because you don't really need a VCU to control it. It's kind of has those features built in. You plug in your accelerator pedal, you plug in your gear selector, F&R switch, and it works. It works nicely. We put one in that the summer bus with Mr.G last summer. It's a relatively plug and play, but I no disrespect to the folks that help bring this community up with that setup, but it is older technology, and I think the next step is really to enable DIY users to use 400-volt modern powertrain systems, and using new motors from China, from Taiwan, from America. Whatever motor you want to use, it really comes down to a software problem, and that's what we're, you know, aiming headfirst solving for to basically handle the software, uh, you know, frustrations of how do you speak the CAN bus language that these motors need to hear in order to run. And really, like, once you can spin the shaft of the motor, a lot of these car guys know what to do with the rest.
Right.
You fabricate steel, you know, steel, fabricate some metal mounts, put it in the car, attach that spinning shaft to your wheels, and you have an EV. So we think that a big key word for us is joy. Uh, the car building process should be more joyful, and like I think like making metal stuff is cool and like fun, but you know, crouched over a laptop spending weeks fighting with CAN bus is not. So we're taking uh that sucky part away and just letting our users focus on the fun parts.
So which motors is it going to be able to work with without much headache?
Whichever motors you want, Talik. You
All
just,
right, I want a plaid dual motor.
okay, so the plaid is a little trickier because their CAN bus is encrypted. Uh, we have some smart people we can tap for that, but that one might be later.
That's crazy. I didn't realize they encrypted it. They're like, yeah, all our patents are available and open, and then they're like, we're gonna encrypt the important stuff.
Yes, at least that one. That's why I guess I haven't seen any plaids in a EV conversion that's not a body swap. I think it's just really hard to crack that firmware. But the older LDUs and SDUs, like, well, we can do that too. Actually, we're getting on that early next year. But right now the VCU is programmed to support this motor from our partner in Taiwan. It's a 130 kilowatt 400 volt motor. Liquid cooled, so it's like slightly beefier than a Hyper 9, and liquid cooled and at 400 volts, so it will run smoother on a highway. um but yeah, for bigger vehicles, we're looking to support Cascadia very soon in early next year as well. So Cascadia and Tesla will be the next two targets, and then, you know, we're here. We one of the big reasons we went to SEMA is to listen to our customers. Like, what motors do people want to use, and you know, we'll handle the software.
Yeah, so that's kind of a huge thing because we have this kind of gap between a small drive unit, Model 3, large drive, and the Hyper 9 crowd. Like, there's this big opening of, like, not just voltage but capability, as Brandon was saying. I think Brandon was saying, you know, these trucks, if you want to do a truck, Hyper 9 may not cut it when it comes to a medium or a large size truck, or even just, you know, if you want some power beyond just a commuting vehicle. So yeah, finding the stuff that fits. Hey Ron, how's it going?
Hi, Mr. G.
I don't know if his speakers are on. I think he's just checking in on us.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's kind of that a desert of voltages and power range between a Hyper 9 and basically a Tesla small drive unit. That being said, you know, I've tried to throw this out into the universe a little bit here, and I think it's in a similar problem as the plaid motor. But this came up talking about like off-road usage and how you have like a small package. Imagine getting the Lucid motors unlocked.
Ooh,
Those are small and powerful, and if you can fit those into a smaller package, that's going to be intriguing. But you know, as we know, they can't use them yet, right?
I would guess they are kind of like the plaid motors, and they have some sort of encrypted CAN bus signal that's probably pretty tough to crack. Otherwise, that's an amazing motor. Like, say what you will about Lucid and their business, but like, I think even like Sandy Munro like admitted, you know, like, they have the best motor and packaging. That super impressive.
I mean,
I
that
would, yeah.
right there. I mean, with the Switch vehicle, we saw that the Hyper 9 was in the drive shaft, but imagine a package, I think it's smaller than a Hyper 9, delivering the power of like a large drive unit or more. That's pretty amazing. And also imagine just like the on the off-grid side of things, turning one of those into like a generator. Imagine, reverse engineering a Lucid motor so that it fits into a windmill. So, or anyway, that's probably going a little too far down the rabbit hole. Carter, were you in touch with much with SEMA this year, or?
I might have had some cable in a car there, but as SEMA comes up, it's always like a crunch. So I don't think they ordered it soon enough or had enough time to install it. I wish I'd gone to SEMA. I'll probably go to SEMA next year. But yeah, last time I was at SEMA was 2019. We had a project in the Ford booth.
Yeah.
So it was 2019. Yeah. So we did a conversion with EV Drive, who was on the show a while ago, where we did a 1,000 horsepower Mustang, which was insane. But it was cool to see it in the Ford booth. So good reason to go to SEMA.
Yeah. I did a video. I haven't seen him. Well, actually, I did see it in person at Expo. The Ford Super Cobra Jet. Did they use Big Orange cable or
no? That was done. I mean, that was all done by Ford, with AEM as a partner. But that was pretty Big Orange cable for sure.
Nice. Well, it sounds like Ron is ready to spin the motor. So that's pretty good timing. Ron, tune in.
Prince up top, help me put this back together. And shout out to Mark Weller, who came here in the summer and helped me assemble this in like 24 hours. That guy is a monster. He is on point. And just coming across an ocean of batteries here. And here's our. I know this looks funky, but this works. It's the funkiest thing ever. And we have the pedal, and we're all hooked up. We got a green light. All right, you want to do the honors? Okay, here we go. Little by little. There you go.
All right, you got to pull back so we know you're not faking it. All right, there
you guys hear it?
No, because the meeting
okay, hold on.
Filters it out.
There you go.
It's Ron. It's because the meeting filters out anything but voice.
Okay.
Google Meets filters out anything besides voice.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's spinning, and it's making noise. What are you doing, you welding? Oh, okay. You're cutting. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So and we're gonna hook up the charger and the DC to DC. But then all of this goes in. Well, it doesn't go in. It goes right on top. Right on top of this. And then the last piece of the puzzle here is the adapter plate. And we got everyone, even Alex from Dive Design is getting in on the action. Check out Dive Design for all your monster 3D prints. I'm talking like robotic arm size of a bus. You can print a 4x8 sheet of plywood times bigger. 4.5 by 10 feet by 13 feet. 4.5 feet by 10 feet by 13 tall 3D print. The man, the myth, the legend right there. And he's right next door on the other side of that wall.
Just have him print you the vehicle.
All right. So anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good stopping point, Ron.
Mr. G.
Shout out to Zack, who's in the house. He took SEMA by storm. That guy's great. And guys are tired. Everybody's sharing ideas and helping each other. I feel lucky. It's awesome. It's great. Look at this guy going crazy right now.
Hey, Mr.
Okay,
G,
we're gonna
can you
get back
tell
to
us
work.
about
I
Mr.
can't
G?
hear anything.
Oh, you
They're
can't?
grinding over there.
What's the adapter about?
Oh, so Zach, I think he talked about the adapter
Oh.
plate earlier tonight.
Uh-huh. Oh,
You
sorry,
might,
I missed it.
yeah, you might need to rewatch this. You might actually have to watch the episode to find out what's going on. I think he's typing right now. Let's see what he's got to say. What's he going to say? Grinding. Okay.
They're grinding over here, so it's like too loud. I can't hear anything. All right, you guys got this. Thanks for all the support. Oh, oh, about the adapter. I can't. It's a secret project. No,
Only available on YouTube.
it's called Operation Swiss Cheese. Ta-da! This is a flat plate. It's not normal, Zach. Don't look for this for inspiration. Don't do what I did. Now, if you want to make your adapter plate out of flat 1/4-inch plate from Send Cut Send, you can do it like this. And what you do is you zoom in and these all tab and slot together. If you're doing any welding at all, you really should copy these amazing people that do stuff like this. Send Cut Send, and then you should also see the method is from the welding industry. It's an incredible way to lock stuff together. You don't need like a fixture or clamps. You're not going to get it rhombused. It's going to click together. Tab and slot design. No proprietary, like this is not like something that's behind. Oh, share this tab instead. Sorry, I don't know. I didn't see that. But anyway, yeah. So you just do that, and then we just made provisions for the transmission. I had to measure the transmission. I used a very sophisticated tool called a caliper, but a long one. And yeah, we just went bolt to bolt minus the radius. That's your centers. Yeah. Crazy stuff. But we went over that in the beginning, so I don't want to take up too much time. Let me get back to work. You guys are amazing. And Alex got it from here. Okay.
I was going to say, unless anybody has any other updates, Zach, if you have anything more on your products.
No, we're getting ready. We're gonna this Corvair is gonna be at Electrify Expo Long Beach for sure.
Sweet, and that's now in June next year, right?
Yes, and ideally done well before then, but you know how these car projects go.
Yeah, well, we got to make sure we got a gas and go with snow in there before that. So, and that was the other cool thing, Brandon. We talked about this last week as well. It was like all of this together at SEMA, like everything we were
The community, yeah,
it was insane. In fact, let me find the video. But Carter, do you have any other updates on? Sorry, we kind of cut off what you were saying. But do you have any other products besides the big orange cable that work with conversions?
Well, I don't know. Our thing is it's most sizes of cable in short length. So big orange cable maybe is not the best name for it, but we have small cable, conduit, tape, like harness tape. I don't know. We're always kind of expanding the stuff that we're selling, and if someone has a need for something that they, usually have to buy in like 1,000 feet, and they don't want to buy 1,000 feet of it, we'd be interested in hearing that sort of input too.
Do you guys do crimping?
We can. Yeah.
Like any connectors or like
yeah,
TE?
I like to the thing is I probably wouldn't sell anything that you couldn't crimp normally. Like if you can't fit the cable that we sell into a connector, I probably wouldn't sell it to you. I would tell you how to do it maybe. But we've done TE connectors. We do a lot of Amphenol power lock. But on our site we have on the different cable pages, and I think we have a page just for connectors of what sizes of our cable fit certain connectors. So like the TE HVA 280 stuff is all supported. Some Aptiv stuff, some Amphenol stuff. So, but yeah, we can crimp pretty much everything.
Okay.
Well, unless
Yeah,
you
I'll
focus on
follow
it.
up with you separately. Well, we have a problem with TE.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, hex crimps are nice. The F crimps are not so nice.
Yeah, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to kind of help where I can.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Do you have a oh, there it is, contact. So here's how you contact Big Orange Cable right there.
Yeah, either sales at or Carter at. We're easy to get a hold of.
Nice. All right. And then I found the let's see here. This was let's see if it plays sound.
So we're out here at SEMA with the IRL.
Did the sound come through on that?
A little bit in the beginning.
Yeah,
In the
just
beginning,
the most part
yeah.
for us.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's pretty much everybody. Well, not everybody, but that was a good amount of people that were all in the same place at the same time with this whole community, and it was really just a buzz. And I don't want to get too cliche with it, but that was my first SEMA, but not my first convention. But it was being my first SEMA, and for it to be able to feel like I knew everybody there already. Like it was more just like discovering what everybody's showing. Granted, you met a lot of new people to begin with, but it was really cool to like be at such a big event and to have a big group of people that kind of were all pushing for the same things, you know. So that was really awesome. And unless anybody has anything else to share, I think we should wrap it up there, and we'll see you on the next Hangout again Thursday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and hopefully the next time we're here, you will see Ron's Kei Truck actually rolling, at least put together. And thanks everybody for being here, and we'll see you on the next Hangout.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks.